We have 22 people on staff, and we are 24/7, 365. So Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, while you guys are enjoying dinner with your family, we're still doing our job keeping everybody safe.
This is the alligator snapping turtle from the Mississippi Delta. This is the only animal in our North American waters that the alligator is afraid to try to eat. He's scared of this turtle.
Wrightsville Beach Sea Turtle Project was founded in 1994 by Stephanie Carter. Stephanie was a resident at Wrightsville Beach and a good friend of a Mr. Jim Tyson. And Mr. Tyson happened to see the tracks early one morning where a nesting mother sea turtle had come in during the night and laid a nest right in front of the Hanover Seaside Club. So he started making some phone calls to state agencies and the such. And so the program got underway and she began to recruit volunteers. At this time, we have about 100 volunteers that help to monitor the beach at Wrightsville. And as a part of what they do, they are out on the beach early every morning at sunrise, and we monitor each section of the beach every day of the week, looking for the huge tracks of the nesting turtles that have come out of the water at night to lay their eggs. Once that's verified that there are eggs, the nest is marked off, and we keep a close eye on those eggs for about 60 days while they incubate. All of us have the great opportunity to take any injured or stranded or sick sea turtles that may show up on our beaches to the Sea Turtle Hospital at Topsail Island. Turtle rehab centers are growing along the East Coast. However, this was one of the first, and we were very lucky to have a place such as that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a whole lot we could do with an injured 100-pound sea turtle. Part of what we do is respond when we do get calls about stranded turtles. We respond whether it's a live or dead animal, and we either collect the data to report to the state, or if it is a live animal, we take the turtle to the Sea Turtle Hospital as quickly as possible to try to get it any help that they can give the animal with the hopes that it can be healed and rehabilitated, eventually return back to the sea. Gene usually has the final say on what we name any one of the sea turtles. Usually it has something to do with either where the turtle came from, where the turtle was found, or also some life experience of the turtle. Maybe they had an encounter with a boat, or we once named a turtle Chase because we chased the turtle around in a lagoon for several hours before we were able to catch it. We do work in conjunction with veterinarians from the North Carolina School of Veterinary Medicine. A turtle team basically has been in place to help us with the injured sea turtles now for a number of years. The vets, anytime the turtles need extensive medical care, such as surgery or hooks removed or that kind of intricate care, they are either taken there to the vet school, or the vets sometimes come down to the Sea Turtle Hospital, and they provide that type of care that is needed for the injured or sick turtles that come to us. Dr. Craig Harms had the honor of getting to release little Coastline. Coastline was a little Kent's Ridley sea turtle that basically ate a fishing hook from the Coastline Convention Center pier, and Coastline had to go up to the vet school to have that hook removed because he had swallowed it to an extent that we were unable to remove it. Here, he had the opportunity to care for Coastline and had the honor of getting to release him back to the Atlantic. 2 main or primary releases every year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And we have to release the turtles when the water is warm enough to let them go from the shoreline. And it's quite a big celebration. Volunteers come from all over the state. Most beaches have folks that love to come to the releases, and they can travel great distances to get there. Sometimes it's because we have a turtle that's special to us that maybe we transported to the Sea Turtle Hospital for care, and we have a special tie to that turtle. We want to see them go home. Sometimes it's just because it's such an awesome day and great opportunity to get together with all of the people that are kindred spirits and that we care about the sea turtles. Sometimes really huge loggerheads get carried out to the ocean as the crowd cheers, and they are very excited. The turtles are very excited. This past fall we had a release, and primarily I think the 7 turtles that got to go home were the smaller ones, but they aren't sent away with any less excitement or fanfare. So it's a big celebration, and we all enjoy it.
So the lab is actually for the yeast. It's mainly if somebody doesn't want to continuously buy yeast for brewing the beer, you can actually take the yeast off of the latest fermentation tank batch, and you can clean it up, cultivate it, propagate it, make your own strain, save your own strain, do all kinds of fun sciencey stuff with it. Biology that you can learn at entry level, or you can take it as far as you want it to go. There's a full spectrum. I mean, anybody can start it that's interested in it. There's a new trend going around the country for local community labs where people actually learn about science on their own, and it seems very similar to that, where people are interested in home brewing and they get interested in the yeast part of it. They kind of do their own mini science labs. So it can be for anybody that's interested in learning about it, or you can take it all the way up to higher education levels. We have to use the microscope to be able to check the viability, or to see if the cells are alive or not, to be able to tell whether or not we can put that in the beer and they'll actually work and do what they need to do, or if they're dead. We also count. There's plates that we put under the microscope that'll help us count how many cells there are of the yeast, to tell how much that we need to be able to put in however big the barrels that we have. We also use it to check and make sure it's not infected, so we don't have other types of bacteria or viruses that are in it. You can tell just by the color and the size of the colony whether or not it's good to be able to use in beer, or it'll infect the beer and it'll taste funny. The pyramid-looking glass with the top, Erlenmeyer flasks, those are actually for growing up the yeast in the wort, the sugar water. So we put that about 12 hours ahead of time in one of those and let it sit at room temperature, and it actually activates the yeast and gets it to start eating the sugar in the water. And it will actually start producing more yeast and make the batch bigger to be able to put it into the fermentation tank the next day.
Hi out there. This is Richard Clyette, your tour narrator of downtown historical Wilmington on the Wilmington Trolley. We'd like very much for you to come down and visit with us for an overview of the downtown historical area. It is very informative as well as educational, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
We also now provide trolley service on Pleasure Island from 5:30 until 10:30 nightly. For more information, check out the website wilmingtontrolley.com.
She was once considered the world's greatest sea weapon, and went on to become one of the most highly decorated American battleships of World War II. Now moored in downtown Wilmington, she's one of the most highly decorated family attractions in North Carolina, serving a new generation as an exciting, hands-on historical adventure. Have a blast exploring the past aboard the battleship North Carolina. Adventure calls.
Ironclad Brewery joins the growing list of Wilmington-based craft breweries in a renovated historic building on 2nd Street, where the interior has been restored using original wood from the building. And the craft beers, they're all local and regional to Wilmington and North Carolina. Now pouring Fishtail Pale Ale. And a favorite for dark beer lovers, White Squall, Ironclad's White Chocolate Brown Ale. Downstairs or up in the high-gravity lounge area, come and enjoy craft beer at its best. Ironclad Brewery, 2nd Street in historic downtown Wilmington.
Do you like historic neighborhoods, architecture, and local history? Then you don't want to miss Historic Wilmington Foundation's guided architectural walking tours. The Forest Hills Tour showcases the city's first automobile neighborhood, and the Streetcar Suburbs Tour highlights Wilmington's first suburbs, Carolina Place and Carolina Heights. And this summer, on select Saturdays, a new downtown tour. Tours have a strong architectural focus and are led by knowledgeable guides. Check our website for details.
In 2003, my husband and I bought a vintage 1940 cottage at Carolina Beach, and this cottage survived hazel. So immediately I thought we want to do this kind of in a 50s motif. And so I started thinking about where I could get images of Carolina Beach, back during the 40s and 50s. And my friend Susan Taylor Block said, "Oh, well, you should look at postcards." So anyway, I started collecting postcards, and now I have hundreds. I buy them on eBay. People always want to know where you get them. And when you think about the fact that people bought the postcards here and at Carolina Beach and Wrightsville Beach and Wilmington and surrounding areas, and then they mailed them to any number of places all over the country. You look at, say, the town of Carolina Beach, and you realize that this is a certain street because you recognize a building. For example, there was a drugstore on the corner of Lake Park Boulevard and Harper Avenue. It was called Carolina Beach Drug Store, and it's still there. And it has a very distinctive parapet which is notched and it goes around. So when you see it, you know it immediately. So you look at a postcard and you see that, and you know where it is, and you know it's there today. And then you see this building across the street and you think, that's not there anymore. I wonder what that was. Or you see a building next door to that. And so you start looking at these old images and you start wondering about what was there back then. My Bathing Beauties collection is pretty big too, but I would say Carolina Beach and the Bathing Beauties. And this one is one that is both Carolina Beach and Bathing Beauties. It is of the famous boardwalk back in the day. 2 soldiers walking along the boardwalk, probably during World War II. And they are flanked on either side by a string of bathing beauties in their bathing suits. And of course, one thing people always love about this postcard is you can see some of the businesses on either side, and one of them is the famous Brits Donuts, which everybody knows about Brits. And I have this Hugh Morton postcard, which makes it special, and it's an aerial photograph of the Snowscut Swing Bridge, which was the first permanent bridge over Snowscut. This was a really interesting topic to do research and find. One of the most fascinating things was the man, Major William Arthur Snow, for whom the cut is named. He came to Wilmington in 1926 to begin this arduous task of the intercoastal 93 miles from Beaufort, North Carolina, to the mouth of the Cape Fear. This is one of my favorites. It's a Florida postcard which shows their grapefruit and oranges, and with this circle of bathing beauties, and they're all in matching bathing suits. This is one from probably the 20s. And it's just a whole bunch of people that are lined up and they're all waving for the camera. And this one is from the 40s, and says the man is on the beach smoking a cigarette. But it says, having a wonderful time here and making the most of it, toodaloo. And then this one, which I think says what a lot of postcards say, having a wonderful time, wish you were here. And then I've got old images of the famous Lumina, which was at Wrightsville Beach. They're all men who are in their rented wool bathing suits from Lumina, and it says Lumina, across what we would call a tank top, but they called it an upper. I wrote a book, Carolina Beach, A Postcard History. It was really kind of easy to do from the standpoint of the images because I had them, they were mine. I had this big collection, and since then it's gotten even bigger because I look for them every day, every morning. I have the paper and my coffee, and I'm on eBay.
In January, the girls must approach a garden club member so they can sponsor her. It's getting so popular. Until this year, I think there were only about 16 garden club children or grandchildren that are going to be Belles. Then the rest most of them were seniors because you can't do it after high school. We had maybe 20 that were juniors, and their names were put in a pot and just pulled out, so it would be fair. Of course, their names are on there for maybe next year. I think they came up with 139 girls this year. They have a date that they must come and fit a dress. It's first come, first serve. Whoever calls first, their name goes down on the list first. And they can go to my Facebook. I tell them to go to Belles by Kay Godwin. And there are 90 choices. However, they're in different sizes. They're labeled with their names and by their sizes. And I tell them, when you come, bring a list of 5 of the dresses that you prefer, and I'll be able to tell you whether it's already taken or not. They, of course, try it on. I do not try to alter or fit that day. I will call them back. I tell them they will be ready just before the tea. We always have a tea, and that's where Garden Club ladies scrutinize every dress, and we dressmakers are told, you need to improve on this or need to improve on that before they go out into the public, really. No matter what size the girl is, no matter what she looks like, my goal is to make her the prettiest of all of them.
Your passport awaits to 3 of Wilmington's most historic homes. Now, for one low admission price, you can visit historic Bellamy Mansion, the city's grandest antebellum home, the Burgwin Wright House Museum and Gardens, beautifully restored for a step back in history, and Latimer House, representing opulent life in Wilmington before the Civil War. Purchase your passports at any one of the historic home locations and discover 3 great reasons to visit Wilmington's past. Tickets are good for 1 week from the date of purchase.
Is your VCR finally giving up the ghost? Are your videotapes falling apart? Can't find the right equipment to watch those precious family memories? Bring your home movies into Carolina Video Edit Centers for professional, high-quality transfer to DVD. Why risk taking it to a mega store that'll just ship it off to who knows where? Carolina Video Edit Centers has been in business over a decade. All orders are handled with care and processed right here in our studios. Bring in your home movies and receive a second DVD copy absolutely free. Preserve those family memories forever at Carolina Video Edit Centers.
Alpha Mortgage. We're the only full-service mortgage banking firm in southeastern North Carolina. From origination through processing, underwriting, funding, closing, we do it all locally. More than 90 professional staff right here in Wilmington. Alpha Mortgage is the leading mortgage lender in southeastern North Carolina. Alpha Mortgage is the lender more real estate agents and builders rely on. We work with your realtor and your builder every step of the way from application to closing. We have the best rates, best service because we are Alpha. Alpha Mortgage.
We're at the point now where almost all the snakes are born here. There were still a few of the old timers that I brought back in from my travels 20 years ago. We're still holding on. But a great deal of them now are born right here, and we just raise them here, and they become the Serpentarium exhibits. Some are over 20 years old. This anaconda here that you're standing in front is probably about 35 years old. It's one of the oldest in the world. And of course, the crocodiles are very different than snakes. We have a giant saltwater crocodile, Bubble Boy. This is the alligator snapping turtle from the Mississippi Delta. It is the largest freshwater species of turtle in the world, reaching 300 pounds. This one weighs about 110 pounds, the average sized male. The female comes out to lay her eggs, goes right back in. The male stays his whole life in the water. Now, in spite of this, they cannot swim. He's so heavy, he has to walk around on the bottom. And so he has to be kept in shallow water, as you see, so he can get his nose up to breathe. Otherwise, he would drown. They like clams, and these powerful jaws are to crush the clam shells up, and oyster shells, and all of these. They just crunch them right up and eat them all, the shell and all. This is the only animal in our North American waters that the alligator is afraid to try to eat. Now, what is most unique about him is on the bottom of his jaw. You can see it there wiggling around. It looks like a little worm. It's his tongue. He wiggles his tongue like a worm to attract fish right into his jaws. I will show you how Chomp chomps here. We feed them at 3 o'clock Saturday and Sunday, and different ones each week. We've modified that with the pythons to let people pet them once the prey is seized by the snake. That's been a big draw and a feature here, being able to pet these giant snakes as they squeeze their prey to death. It's always a really good show, and it's an adventure for the audience, and it is still an adventure for me.
Well, how often do you hear us say here on CBS, keep your eye on us as we keep our eye on Wilmington? Well, literally, we're going to talk to somebody who probably does a better job of that than we do. We have Josh Weiss with us here today. He is a meteorologist from the Wilmington Bureau of the National Weather Service.
Well, the National Weather Service as a whole covers the entire country, including Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Guam. There are 122 of these weather forecast offices around the country, and here in Wilmington, our office is located at the airport. We're actually on the airport grounds, and we are responsible for the forecasts and the warnings for our little corner of the United States, and that's 14 counties in northeast South Carolina and southeast North Carolina, as well as 40 nautical miles offshore along that same coastline. And we provide not only the severe weather warnings over the water, but we also do the beach forecasts, and we do the wave height forecast for the mariners and all that kind of information, because there's a large mariner lifestyle here in the coastal Carolinas. There's a lot of boaters who depend on those accurate forecasts for their livelihood. So not only are we keeping everybody on land watching their TV safe, but those guys out on the ocean, or those people going to the beach for their vacation, they also need to know that we are watching out for them all the time. Any day could be very different from the day before. It always keeps us on our toes. But yeah, our primary responsibilities are creating those forecasts that the broadcast meteorologists, they may use some of our information, but they are really the crucial piece to getting the information out to the public who may not know the job that we do. But our most critical aspect is the warning aspect. We are the only agency that is responsible for all those warnings that you see scroll across your screen or alert your weather radio or come across your phone. A tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, that is us. We have 22 people on staff and we are 24/7, 365. So Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, while you guys are enjoying dinner with your family, we're still doing our job keeping everybody safe, monitoring the weather. But let's say there's an active weather day. We've got 3 or 4 people all sitting at 4 or 5 or up to 6 computer screens each person, and we're taking in all the computer model information, the satellite data, the radar data, those computer models you may see on TV every now and then. That's all coming into our weather service office, and we are then analyzing that and producing the forecast products, the warning products, and getting that then out to everybody. And one of the new challenges is social media. That's pretty new, but we get a lot of reports via social media, and during big weather events, we may have somebody designated to just monitoring Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus or whatever, because we get a lot of information that way. It's much easier to make a little Twitter post, say, hey, tornado on the ground, than making that phone call. So that's another aspect of the job that's pretty new. We also may have somebody that's just dealing with the media phone calls, especially during a hurricane. We have a PIO, a public information officer, who may just be answering those phone calls while we're out doing the watches and the warnings. And on a quieter day, we may have people going to outreach events, providing information at a safety fair or a weather event or even a health fair, things like that, just to let people know we're out there and what our job is. We are all meteorologists in the office, but we all have certain programs for which we are what we call the program manager. And for me, that's 2 programs. I run the COCORAS program, which is the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. That's that rain and snow volunteer network. I'm the regional program manager for that. I also run the fire weather program. Prescribed fires and wildfires, if we have anything like that going on, we need to get specific weather information out to those guys working on the fire to keep them safe. Generally, we do organized tours, and you're more than welcome to call the office and try and set one of those up, because we want people to know we're out there. We want people to call us and help us and hopefully join one of those volunteer networks I talked about, because we're all on the same goal, we're all doing the same thing. And the larger the network, the larger the number of people who know we exist, the better we're then able to do our job, which is, as I said, protection of life and property.
Discover more to do and see in Wilmington. See the attractions, events, businesses, and people that make this a great place to live. Keep your eyes on us as we keep our eye on Wilmington. On CBS 10 WILM.
This is Liz Coughlin from Four Seasons Travel, and I have some travel tips for you. When you use your credit cards in foreign countries before you travel, be sure to contact your bank or your financial institution and alert them that you intend to travel. Advise them of the dates and the countries in which you will be visiting, and ask about foreign transaction fees so you won't get any surprises when you return home. You should carry 2 or 3 types of credit cards if you are traveling overseas. There may be some places where your most frequently used card won't work. Make sure you are using the new style credit cards that contain the embedded security chips. And here's a tip of one of my travel clients used when overseas. He put Velcro on the outside of his wallet and the inside of his pants pocket. This is an excellent way to prevent your wallet, cash, and credit cards from being stolen. Pickpockets are all too common in many foreign cities. The most talked about travel experience is a river cruise. This is Liz from Four Seasons Travel, where we book luxury river ships that carry 150 passengers who unpack only once and spend less time getting there and more time being there. Private balcony views of stunning locations across Europe, Russia, China, and Southeast Asia. We work with top name operators. There is no better way to see the world than on a river cruise from Four Seasons Travel, with you all the way.
With the keel of the USS North Carolina laid in October 1937, it became the first battleship built in 16 years and the first of 10 fast battleships to join the U.S. fleet in World War II. At the time of commissioning April 9, 1941, the North Carolina was considered the world's greatest sea weapon. It had 9 16-inch guns and 3 turrets, 25-inch 38 caliber guns, and 10 twin mounts. Its wartime staff of 144 officers, nearly 2,200 sailors, included 83 Marines. This Battleship Minute presented by CBS 10 WILM.